The galaxy burns under the rule of the Void Empire. Their massive black ships, each the size of cities, move through space like death itself. For 300 years, they have crushed every civilization that dared to stand against them. The Alteri Federation fell in 6 days. The Crystal Lords lasted only 3. Even the mighty war clans of Nexus Prime were reduced to ash and bone. Captain James Reed sits in the command chair of the UES Defiance, humanity's last warship. Around him, his crew of 47 souls prepares for what they all know will be their final battle. The ship is old, patched with salvaged parts, and held together by determination. Its weapons are outdated, its shields are weak, but it carries something the Void Empire has never encountered before: human stubbornness. The Defiance drifts in the shadow of Earth's moon, watching the final evacuation ships flee toward the outer rim. Families, children, the last hope of humanity packed into cargo vessels and research ships. They need time to escape, time that only the Defiance can give them. "Sir, long-range sensors are picking up the Void Fleet," reports Lieutenant Tom Wells from his station. 1,200 ships, including their flagship, the Dark Star. They'll reach Earth in 6 hours. Reed nods, his weathered face calm. He has seen too much death, lost too many friends. His wife died when Mars fell. His son was on the colony ship that never made it past Jupiter. All he has left is duty, and the 47 people who chose to stay with him. "Signal the evacuation fleet," Reed orders. "Tell them they have 18 hours. We'll buy them that much time." His crew exchanges glances. 18 hours against 1,200 ships. It should be impossible. But they have all volunteered to be here. They all know the odds. They all know what human history teaches. Sometimes the impossible is just another word for necessary. The ship's engineer, an old man named Pete, speaks up from the back of the bridge. "Captain, I've been thinking about those Void ships. They're big, sure, but they're also proud. They always lead with their flagship because they want to make a statement. What if we could make our own statement?" Reed turns to look at him. "What do you have in mind?" "Pete, the reactor core. If we overload it at the right moment, we could take some of them with us. Maybe even damage their flagship. Show the galaxy that humans don't go quietly." The bridge falls silent. They all understand what Pete is suggesting. A suicide run. One ship against an armada, but with the power to wound their enemy. To prove that humanity, even in defeat, could still bite back. 1,200 ships destroyed entire civilizations, whispers Lisa, the communications officer. "What can we do that they couldn't?" Reed stands and walks to the viewport, looking out at the blue marble of Earth hanging in space. Somewhere down there, in museums and libraries, are the stories of human history: David and Goliath, the Alamo, Thermopylae. Stories of the few standing against the many, of ordinary people doing extraordinary things when everything depends on it. The difference, Reed says quietly, is that we're human. We don't fight just to win. We fight because it's right. Because someone has to. Because if we don't stand here, who will? He turns back to his crew. "I won't order anyone to stay. There are still escape pods. Still time to run." Nobody moves. 47 faces look back at him with grim determination. They have all made their choice. "Then let's show this galaxy what one human ship can do," Reed says. "Pete, start preparing the reactor overload, but make it stable. We're not going to just ram them and explode. We're going to fight them ship by ship, make them work for every kill. And when we've done all we can do, we'll make sure they remember us." The Defiance begins to move, leaving the safety of the moon's shadow and heading toward the approaching darkness. One small ship against an armada that has conquered the galaxy. The odds are impossible. The outcome is certain. But as the ship accelerates toward its destiny, something stirs in the quantum field around it. Something that responds to human will, to the fierce determination of a species that has always refused to accept defeat. The universe itself seems to take notice of this small act of defiance. The Void Empire has crushed every armada, but they have never faced humans before. They are about to learn that some flames grow brighter when pressed by darkness. The Void Fleet emerges from hyperspace like a plague of metal locusts. Their ships are massive, angular things that seem to absorb light itself. At their head flies the Dark Star, a fortress ship 10 miles long, bristling with weapons that have reduced planets to rubble. Admiral Vex, commander of the Void Empire's forces, studies the tactical display from his command throne. The conquest of Earth should be routine. Every intelligence report suggests the humans are primitives, barely capable of interstellar travel. Their largest warship is smaller than his smallest destroyer. One ship. Vex's voice carries the contempt of a being who has overseen the destruction of 1,000 worlds. They send one ship to face us. His tactical officer, a scared veteran named Grim, leans forward. Lord Admiral, the vessel appears to be of human design. Designation, UES Defiance. It's moving to intercept us. Suicide. Vex dismisses. Open a channel. Let's hear their surrender. On the bridge of the Defiance, Reed receives the incoming transmission. The face that appears on the screen is alien but recognizable. The cold arrogance of a conqueror who has never been challenged. Human vessel. Vex's translated voice fills the bridge. You are outgunned 1,200 to 1. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your deaths will be quick if you comply. Reed looks around at his crew. Pete has the reactor modifications ready. Tom has weapons locked on the nearest Void destroyer. Lisa has her finger on the communications array, ready to broadcast their defiance across the galaxy. This is Captain James Reed of the United Earth ship Defiance. Reed responds calmly. You want our planet. Come and take it. The transmission cuts. On the Dark Star, silence fills the command deck. In 3 centuries of conquest, no one has ever refused Vex's offer of surrender. Shall we destroy them, Lord Admiral? Grim asks. Vex studies the small human ship on his screen. Something about this moment feels different. Important. No, send the Ravager. Let's see what these humans can do before we crush them. The Ravager, a destroyer-class vessel, breaks formation and moves toward the Defiance. It's still 5 times larger than the human ship, armed with plasma cannons that could vaporize a city block. Here they come, Tom reports. One destroyer, moving to engage. Reed nods. Remember, we're not trying to win. We're trying to teach. Show them what we're made of. Tom, target their weapon arrays. Pete, give me everything the engines have. The Defiance accelerates directly at the Ravager. To the Void crew, it looks like a desperate suicide charge. They power up their main guns, confident this will be over in seconds. But as the human ship closes distance, something unexpected happens. The Defiance doesn't fly straight into their guns. Instead, it dances. The ship spins and weaves through space with an agility no Void vessel can match. Human reflexes, trained by generations of atmospheric flight and combat, guide the ship through impossible maneuvers. The Ravager's plasma blasts miss by inches as the Defiance spirals around them like a fighter engaging a bomber. What are they doing? Grim mutters, watching the tactical display in disbelief. The Defiance rolls under the Ravager's hull and fires. Its weapons are primitive by Void standards, but they're aimed with surgical precision. The human ship's guns tear into the destroyer's weapon mounts, disabling them one by one. Impossible, Vex breathes. No ship can maneuver like that. But the Defiance is just getting started. It uses the Ravager's bulk as cover, staying in its blind spots, pecking away at critical systems. The Void destroyer fires wildly, trying to swat the smaller ship, but it's like trying to catch lightning. Then Reed makes his next move. Pete, reroute power from life support to weapons. We won't need it much longer anyway. The Defiance's guns suddenly burn brighter, and a concentrated barrage punches through the Ravager's armor. The destroyer's reactor goes critical, and the massive ship breaks apart in a brilliant explosion. Across the Void Fleet, a stunned silence falls. One of their destroyers, a ship that had helped conquer worlds, has been destroyed by a primitive human vessel. Analysis, Vex demands. Their ship is more maneuverable than our models predicted, Grim reports. Their tactics are unconventional. They fight like they have nothing to lose. Vex stares at the debris field where the Ravager used to be. For the first time in 3 centuries, he feels something he had forgotten. Uncertainty. Send 3 destroyers this time, he orders. And signal the fleet. All ships are to record this engagement. I want to understand how they did that. The Defiance continues its approach, alone against the darkness. But now the galaxy is watching. 3 Void destroyers move to intercept the Defiance. Their commanders have studied the destruction of the Ravager and adapted their tactics. They approach in a triangular formation, ensuring the human ship cannot use one vessel as cover against the others. Captain Reed watches them come, his hands steady on the command console. Around him, his crew works with quiet efficiency. They have crossed a line now. They have drawn first blood. The galaxy's attention is focused on their small ship. Captain, Lisa calls from communications. I'm picking up transmissions across multiple frequencies. Word of the Ravager's destruction is spreading. Other species are watching us. Reed nods grimly. Good. Let them see. Let them witness what happens when humans are pushed to the wall. Pete, how's our reactor holding up? Reed asks. The old engineer wipes sweat from his forehead. She's running hot, Captain, but she'll give us what we need. The modifications are stable for now. Tom, what's our ammunition status? 40% of kinetic rounds remaining. Energy weapons are drawing more power than usual, but we're managing. The 3 destroyers, designated Scythe, Fang, and Dread by Void naming conventions, close to weapons range. Their captains coordinate their attack, planning to catch the human ship in a crossfire that should end this anomaly quickly. But Reed has been thinking too, studying their approach, calculating angles and distances with the tactical mind that had made him Earth's youngest fleet captain before the war began. Listen carefully, he tells his crew. They think they have us trapped. 3 ships, 3 firing angles. But they're thinking like Void commanders. Overwhelming force, direct assault. They don't understand how humans fight when we're desperate. The lead destroyer, Scythe, opens fire first. Plasma beams lance through space toward the Defiance. But the human ship isn't where the targeting computers expected it to be. Reed has ordered a maneuver that would be impossible for a larger vessel, a full power dive down relative to the plane of engagement, using Earth's gravity well to accelerate while rotating the ship through 3 dimensions simultaneously. The Defiance drops like a stone while spinning like a top, and the plasma beams that should have vaporized it pass harmlessly overhead. But Reed isn't running. He's positioning. Now, Reed shouts. The Defiance's guns fire up through the gap between the 3 destroyers, targeting not their hulls but the space between them. The kinetic rounds, simple metal slugs accelerated to incredible velocity, pass through the formation and strike the destroyers from unexpected angles. Scythe takes a hit to its engine compartment. Fang's bridge shields flicker under the impact. Dread's weapons array sparks and goes offline. But more importantly, the human ship has forced the 3 Void vessels to choose: maintain formation and risk hitting each other with their return fire, or break formation and lose their tactical advantage. They choose to break formation. It's exactly what Reed was counting on. Pete, reroute everything to engines. Tom, prepare torpedoes spread. Lisa, broadcast this on all frequencies. Let the galaxy see what one human ship can do. The Defiance accelerates toward the now scattered destroyers, but instead of engaging all 3, Reed focuses on the damaged one. Scythe. The human ship moves like a predator, exploiting the weakness it has created. Scythe tries to turn to bring its main guns to bear, but its damaged engines can't match the Defiance's agility. The human ship slides along the destroyer's hull, its guns methodically destroying weapon mounts, sensor arrays, and communication equipment. From the Dark Star, Admiral Vex watches in growing disbelief. They're not trying to destroy it quickly, he realizes. They're taking it apart piece by piece. Why? His tactical officer Grim understands first. They're making a statement, Lord Admiral. They want us to watch. They want us to see that they can dissect our ships like surgeons. The Defiance completes its run alongside this hull and pulls away. The destroyer is still intact, but completely helpless. A ghost ship drifting in space, its crew trapped inside a metal coffin. Now Fang and Dread close in, their commanders furious at the humiliation of their fellow captain. They fire everything they have, filling space with energy blasts and projectiles. The Defiance dances between the incoming fire, but Reed can see the strain on his ship. Warning lights flash across the bridge. The hull temperature is rising. They can't keep this up much longer. Captain, Pete calls out, reactor is approaching critical levels. If we push much harder. I know, old friend, Reed says quietly, but look at your screen. Look at what we've accomplished. On the tactical display, 2 Void destroyers continue their pursuit of the Defiance, while the third drifts helplessly. One human ship has neutralized half of a formation that should have destroyed it in seconds. And across the galaxy, other species are taking notice. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 different worlds, beings who had accepted the inevitability of void dominance suddenly find themselves staring at their communication screens in disbelief. In the crystal caves of Altera Prime, the few surviving Crystal Lords watch the human ship's impossible dance around the Void destroyers. Elder Kryn, whose people fell to the Void Empire in mere days, speaks in whispers. They fight like the old legends, like warriors who have already accepted death. On the fortress world of Nexus Prime, War Chief Bane pounds his massive fist against the stone table. His clan was among the mightiest in the galaxy, yet they lasted only weeks against the Void Armada. How does one small ship do what our entire fleet could not? But it's not just the military leaders who are watching. In hidden bases and refugee camps, on forgotten outposts and slave worlds, ordinary beings see the footage of the Defiance's battle and feel something they had forgotten. Hope. The human ship is damaged now, trailing atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. Captain Reed's crew works frantically to keep systems online as the 2 remaining destroyers, Fang and Dread, coordinate their final assault. Hull breach on Deck 7. Pete reports, his hands flying over the engineering console. I've sealed it, but we're losing pressure on 3 more levels. Weapons down to 20% efficiency. Tom adds grimly, we're running on fumes, Captain. Reed looks around at his crew, these 47 souls who chose to stay and fight the impossible fight. They're exhausted, bloodied, but their eyes still hold that fierce human determination that has carried their species through every dark moment in their history. Lisa, open a channel to the fleet, Reed orders. Sir, they're not responding to surrender requests. Not to them, to everyone. Broadcast on all frequencies, maximum power. Let the whole galaxy hear this. The communications officer's fingers dance across her console, and suddenly the Defiance's signal is reaching across space, touching every world, every ship, every hidden outpost where beings still draw breath under void rule. Reed stands and faces the camera. His uniform is torn, his face is streaked with smoke and blood, but his voice is steady and strong. My name is James Reed, captain of the United Earth ship Defiance. For 300 years, the Void Empire has told you that resistance is futile, that their power is absolute, that surrender is your only choice. The 2 destroyers are closing in now, their weapons charging for the kill. But Reed continues speaking. They're wrong. We humans have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. Today, one human ship has proven that even the mighty Void Empire can bleed. On Nexus Prime, War Chief Bane suddenly stands up. On Altera Prime, Elder Crin's crystal body begins to glow. On 100 hidden worlds, beings who had given up hope begin to remember what it means to fight. We will not surrender, Reed continues. We will not kneel. We will not go quietly into the darkness. And neither should you. The destroyers Fang and Dread open fire simultaneously, their combined firepower enough to vaporize a small moon. But something extraordinary happens in that moment, something that will be studied and debated by scientists for generations to come. The quantum field around the Defiance suddenly fluctuates. The ship's damaged reactor, pushed beyond all safe limits by Pete's modifications, begins to resonate with something deeper, the collective will of every being watching this moment across the galaxy. The Defiance doesn't just dodge the incoming fire. It seems to flow around it, moving through space in ways that violate known physics. The ship accelerates toward the two destroyers not with its engines, but with something else, something powered by hope and defiance, and the refusal to accept defeat. Reeve feels it too, the change in his ship, in himself, in the very fabric of space around them. Pete, what's happening to the reactor? I don't know, Captain. The old engineer shouts over alarms. The readings don't make sense. It's like the ship is drawing power from somewhere else. The Defiance strikes Fang like a bullet, its reinforced bow punching through the destroyer's armor as if it were paper. The human ship emerges from the other side, leaving the void vessel breaking apart behind it. Dread tries to flee, but the Defiance is on it in seconds, moving with impossible speed and precision. The destroyer dies under the human ship's guns, its crew never understanding what they had truly faced. In the silence that follows, as the debris of 3 void destroyers drifts through space, the galaxy holds its breath. One human ship has done the impossible. And now, across 1,000 worlds, rebellion stirs. Admiral Vex stares at the tactical display in stunned silence. 3 of his destroyers, warships that had helped conquer civilizations, are nothing but wreckage. The human ship, impossibly, still moves through space toward his massive fleet. Analysis, Vex demands, his voice tight with controlled fury. Grimm studies the sensor readings with confusion. Lord Admiral, the energy readings from their ship don't match anything in our database. In the final moments of each engagement, their vessels seem to transcend normal physics. Impossible. Yes, sir, but it happened. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Reeve and his crew are equally bewildered by what has occurred. The ship's systems show damage that should have left them drifting in space, yet they continue to function. The reactor readings make no sense, and Pete's modifications seem to have evolved into something entirely new. Captain, Lisa calls from communications. We're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Hundreds of them. Put them on screen. The view screen flickers to life, showing a mosaic of faces, beings from dozens of species, all speaking at once in languages the universal translator struggles to process. But the emotion in their voices is unmistakable. Hope, determination, and something that has been absent from the galaxy for 3 centuries, defiance. War Chief Bane's scarred face appears prominently. Human Captain. The war clans of Nexus Prime stand ready to fight again. Tell us where to strike. Elder Crin's crystalline form shimmers with inner light. The Crystal Lords remember the old ways. Our ships may be few, but our weapons still function. From hidden bases and slave worlds, from refugee fleets and forgotten outposts, the calls pour in. Species that had accepted defeat are suddenly ready to fight. The destruction of 3 void destroyers by 1 human ship has shattered the myth of void invincibility. Reed looks around at his crew, these 47 people who had volunteered for what should have been a suicide mission. They're battered, exhausted, but their eyes shine with something new. The realization that they haven't just bought time for Earth's evacuation. They've ignited a galactic revolution. Pete, Reed says quietly, can you make sense of what happened to our ship? The old engineer shakes his head in wonder. Captain, I think we stumbled onto something the universe has been waiting for. When all those beings across the galaxy watched us fight, when they hoped and believed and refused to give up, somehow the collective will became power. Real physical power. You're saying hope became fuel. I'm saying maybe the universe responds to certain kinds of courage. Maybe when enough beings believe that freedom is worth fighting for, the cosmos itself takes notice. Admiral Vex watches the growing rebellion with mounting alarm. His communications officers report uprising on 17 worlds. 3 Void garrison fleets have been attacked by previously pacified species. The carefully maintained order of his empire is beginning to crack. Sir, Grim reports, the human ship is still approaching. What are your orders? Vex stares at the small vessel on his screen. 1 ship, 47 crew members. They should be insignificant. Instead, they have become the spark that threatens to burn down everything he has built. Signal the fleet, Vex orders. All ships, maximum firepower. Destroy that vessel and end this rebellion before it spreads further. But as the Void Armada prepares to fire, something unprecedented happens. Ships begin appearing throughout the solar system. Not human ships, but vessels from across the galaxy. The war clans of Nexus Prime arrive first, their battle-scarred ships emerging from hyperspace with guns blazing. The Crystal Lords follow, their beautiful ships shining like stars as they engage the Void flanks. More and more ships arrive, species that hadn't been seen in open space for decades, refugee fleets armed with salvaged weapons, even civilian vessels converted into makeshift warships. They come not because they believe they can win, but because one human ship has shown them that victory isn't the point. Fighting for what's right is the point. The Defiance, still glowing with its mysterious energy, broadcasts one final message across the galaxy. This is Captain James Reed. We came here to buy time for our evacuation fleet. Instead, we seem to have started something bigger. To every being listening to this transmission, remember, freedom isn't given. It's taken. It's fought for. It's won by ordinary people who refuse to accept that evil is inevitable. The camera focuses on Reed's face, calm and determined. The Void Empire has ruled through fear for 3 centuries. Today that ends. Today, the galaxy fights back. As the greatest space battle in galactic history begins, with one human ship at its center, the universe itself seems to hold its breath. The age of Void dominance is ending, and a new chapter of galactic history is about to be written in fire and starlight. The rebellion has begun.